lost all control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Welcome everybody, or welcome the few of you that are here. It seems like we're off to a slow start this morning or this evening. I'm just kind of frazzled today. It's been a busy day, a lot of things going on, but I'm doing good. Everything's fine, of course, but I just feel like I'm going in 15 directions, so it always creates moments of, kind of a controlled panic, and sometimes. So, okay. Just had a message there, so hold on. But I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for being here. It's our Thursday evening Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond, and I'm still Brent Thomas. Just to let you guys know, I also put up Tribes on the Bandcamp link that you'll see in the description. I put up. There's 2 songs up there now. And the reason I did that is I got an email from somebody who wanted to know what that song was. So I thought, well, I'll just put it up there. If somebody wants it, it's there. So now there's 2 songs in the Bandcamp, brentthomas.bandcamp.com. So you can check it out. If you're interested in the music that is played on the Paranormal Portal, the song you heard on the way in is, of course, Feline, and Tribes is the other one that I play on break a lot. Or it also closes out all the podcast episodes. So 2 songs up there now. So you can certainly check it out. If you like the song, you can certainly download your own copy of it. But I just want to throw that out there that I just did that today. So another option up there. Not that I'm, trying to pimp my own music, but well, kind of am, but not like, not aggressively. It's like, hey, if you like it, it's there. If you don't, no worries. It's just an opportunity if you want to take it. But we've got a good show lined up for you guys tonight. I am excited to be here as always, and I'm excited to see all you guys climbing into the chat. It's just like homecoming every day. Hello, Deb. Hey, Mogion, L. Good to see you, Gemini. Hello, Gemini. Let's see, who else have I missed in the front end here? Joe Kukowski, good to see you. Duke is here. Hi, Duke. Lewis, hello. Just looking through the people. Cha-Cha. Hi, Cha-Cha. Good to see you. I wish you did change that name, but you make me say it all the time. Who else is here? Renee, of course. Renee Cruz is here. Good to see you, Renee. Thank you for being here. And I'm just doing it manually this time. So, let's see. Elaine Clifford. Hello, Elaine. Good to see you as always. Suzanne Page, welcome. Great to see you. I think that's, Laurie Myers. Hi, how are you? Thanks for coming in. And I don't see any other names yet that I haven't seen already. I think I've given you all shout outs of everybody that's currently chatting. But if you come in and you want to say hello, say at Paranormal Portal and I'll see it because it'll be in orange. Hopefully I'll see it. I should be able to see it. Usually I see them, I think, unless I miss a lot of them and I don't realize it. But anyway, I hope you guys are all ready because it's time for bed. What do you mean I forgot you? I never forgot you. Cha-Cha. I said Cha-Cha. I said you got to change your name. That's not forgetting. And who else did I see? See someone else. Oh, Linda Thomas. Hi. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. So I think I'm up to date now on the people that are here chatting. Great to see everybody. I got a great show lined up for you. If you want to be a part of it, you always can be. If you call 720-923-0500, you're welcome to be on the show. If you have a paranormal story of your own that you'd like to submit to the show, I'd love to hear it. It's always great to hear what you guys have experienced. I got some great emails so far for tomorrow night's show. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, 720-923-0500. Thank you, Duke. But I love when you guys call in. I love to hear what you're sharing. I got a bit of a headache tonight. I don't know what's going on. It's like a sinus thing or something. I don't know. I just feel it behind like my eye over here. So I just took a bunch of ibuprofen. Hopefully that knocks it out. I'd probably feel a lot better if I hadn't drank all that cough syrup. Old Bill Murray line from, I forget, I think it's Stripes. He was a cabbie and he had this really crabby woman in there. So he started driving crazy and gave that line. But anyway, I got a good show lined up for you guys. Hope you enjoy it. I'll do my best to keep you entertained because that's what I do here. I do my best to entertain. Hopefully I'm entertaining. But okay. I don't see any new faces yet, but more names are coming in. So, and hello to all of you who are just quietly sitting there listening. That's fine too. You don't have to chat. It's certainly great that you just come in and listen to what's going on. That's awesome either way. I'm just happy you guys are here. So, the first story tonight is coming from California, and it is, when I was around 11, I started to really like old-time classic music. So, I really wanted to go to a friend's house, my friend's house, Joel's house, because he played classic music. He says classic. I don't know if he means, he says on his piano, so I think he means classical music. And I was really happy to hear my mom say I could, so I got on my bike and started to go over there. When I finally got to there, Joel let me in, and I went over to his piano and played. And I guess Joel went over to his piano and played. He played for around 15 minutes and then took a break. Joel was in his bedroom and me in the kitchen trying to find something to eat when I heard a piano playing, and I thought it was Joel because it was coming from the living room where the piano was. When I heard the piano, I went into the living room and I saw two men, one guy playing the piano who looked around 15 years old. He was really very handsome, and another guy on the floor who was just listening. He looked around to be around 20, and I thought he might have been family of Joel, and "You're very good" is the only thing I said. The piano guy took a quick look at me. He had blue eyes with black hair. He turned his head over to the stairs, and Joel was walking down. And I ran over the stairs, looked at Joel, and pointed to the two men and said, "Your family is really good." But when I turned my head, I saw no one. The two men were gone. I asked him if he heard the piano playing, and he replied with a no, which confused me. And I asked him if he had family over. Again, he said no. And I asked him if he knew a guy with black hair and blue eyes. And surprisingly, he said yes. He said it was an ancestor that died long ago. Well, I was surprised he actually knew his ancestors. I knew none of mine, but Joel said his name was Nicholas. Well, I was really happy that I got to meet Nicholas, but I don't know why. I could see and hear him, and Joel couldn't hear him. And I don't know why Nicholas and the other man left, but I was happy I got to listen to their music because the piano sounded wonderful. I'm grateful for that day, and I don't know why exactly, but I am. I always wish I could listen to Nicholas piano playing again, and I know that sounds very weird, but it's true. It sounded much different than what you hear nowadays. Whenever I go to Joel's house, I can still sense someone there. I have yet to see Nicholas again, but I wish I could listen to his music one more time, or at least Joel play more music like that. Sounds like this person has some expectations of this guy Joel, and it is a girl that wrote it. So I don't know. Not that girls have a lot of expectations. That's not my implication there, but I think she was kind of into Joel, but she liked the music the ancestor played even more, which is kind of wild. Maybe like a groupie, a ghost groupie or something. I don't know. Let's go to the next one. This one's coming from Virginia and see what's going on there. Okay. I have a house that was built around 5 years ago in the woods, and there were these mounds. I did some research and found out that they are Native American burial grounds, and I had a feeling, though, that one really stood out. One of a Native American princess. I told my sister about it, and she didn't believe me, so her and her friend went to try to dig it up. Oh, no. They really didn't get anywhere, not even a half foot deep in the ground. I told them they shouldn't have done that because it would upset the spirit of that body. Then about a year out later, my friend was over and we were watching TV, and all of a sudden my body just told me to turn my head, and I did, and I saw this really clear, very detailed apparition of a Native American girl come out of my closet and float to my nightstand and then vanish. I then told my friend what I saw right after I was done talking. The TV just turned off. So then it was time for my mom to take him back home, and we arrived at his house, and my mom got out to talk to his mom about something. We stayed in the car and talked, and then all of a sudden, the doorknobs and the locks to the car started going up and down, and loudly going chinga, 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 chinga. That's what it says, chinga, or chiga, C-H-I-G-A, chiga, 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 chiga. The car was in my mom's fanny pack. I don't think that's what they meant. They must have meant the keys or something. And it was impossible for that to happen. When I got home, I told my mom about it, and she said that she didn't hear anything. Can someone tell me how that is? And every night, the ghost moves this plate sideways. In the morning, my mom always straightens it out, but every night it turns again. Very strange. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. We got another one. Always more stories here on the portal. I got buckets of them for you guys. I'm just seeing anybody new come in. Nope. Just the same ones of you that was here. At least chatting. Dee. Hi, Dee. Thanks for coming back in. Good to see you tonight. This one's coming from Maryland, which is a state we don't hear an awful lot about, but let's see what's going on in Maryland. 5 years ago, my family moved into a house where we currently live. Less than a month later, moods changed. My brother and I began to rebel towards our parents. And I'll admit that our relationship wasn't the best, but it's gotten ridiculous. I began feeling depressed and screaming for no reason. This was all disregarded, seeing as I was 13 and my brother 17, along with the stress of moving. And then one day I was home alone, and my parents and brother went to the store, and I stayed behind, and I was listening to music and drawing with my window open. There was no window net, I think they mean screen, and the next thing, I'm sitting on the window ledge ready to jump. I was staring at the woods down the street from the house that I visited before and got a terrible feeling from. I immediately shut my window and curled up into a ball, trying to calm down. I did not tell my parents. Another day, I was again home alone a few months later reading, and I looked up from my reading because I suddenly felt a strange presence. I heard someone turning a page in a book. I just closed my window and there was no breeze. But I got up and wandered the house, but really nobody was there. There have been a few nights when I've heard walking. I disregarded the footsteps, thinking it might have been the neighbors or something. The overall feeling of this house is that I'm being watched all the time. My brother and parents don't seem to feel anything, and I spend the most time alone in the house, especially now that I finished high school. And I often have to tell myself that I'm imagining everything so I can fall asleep. I've stopped sleeping at night because I always feel like something is sitting at the foot of my bed and is going to grab me. Just last year, I came home from my ex-girlfriend's house and ran downstairs to grab something for her. My brother was heading upstairs. The moment we passed each other on the stairs, I felt a hand shove me down. And I fell down 7 stairs and injured my left arm and my head. I told them that I was fine when my parents got home, and I went to the hospital, but by then, thanks to the Ouija board, found out about 3 spirits dwelling in my house. 2 of them were angry, but not necessarily violent. One of them I've known since I was 8. He was with me since I was born and normally protected me, and he recently crossed over. Whether with him or without him, one thing was for sure. My mood has warped since we moved into this house. I don't know if it's the area or the house, but I've become totally depressed and always practically beg my friends to let me spend the night just so I can get out of this house. I've heard whispers, seen flashes of light dart across the room, and at night began choking for no reason, and other events which seem surreal. I often get terrified to walk around my house alone now. The weird thing is that all this seems to only happen to me and me alone, and I know I'm not hallucinating, seeing as I sometimes wake up with scratches on my face even though I bite my nails and can't scratch myself. This house is only about 21 years old, and the previous owners didn't die or anything. But I do remember right after we bought the house, I overheard my neighbor telling my mom how the previous owners used to often fight and argue loudly, just like my family now. We didn't used to be like this, and I don't know if it's psychological or supernatural or whatever it is. I want to hear your views or advice, please. This house is really straining my nerves. Well, the other part of it is that this person is just 13 or just turned 13, they mentioned in the story. And quite honestly, puberty's tough. Puberty's tough. You just go through these weird swings and moods, and it's already an unbalanced time. So not discounting the fact that there could very well be paranormal activity, but I think that, perhaps it's amplified by the fact that this is a person, just in the full swings of puberty, and it really screws with some people more than others. And I don't know that puberty was ever really awkward for me. When I think about it, I don't remember it being weird or anything. Just, your body changes, but some people really, really go through the ringer with puberty, and that could certainly be at least a contributing factor for a lot of these moods. This person just may have a real I assume it's a male that wrote the story. And so, when you're dealing with just this new flood of testosterone, it's kind of hard to mitigate, I know a lot of people that changed a lot during puberty, and it really can be transformative for some people. So that certainly can't be discounted when you're looking at what are some causations. I know, it's easy to go, well, it's a house, there's a dark spirit, and it's clearly affecting that person. And there may be, and I'm not saying that's not the case, but, there's a lot of contributing factors that need to be addressed when you're looking at things like that. And being 13 is probably a big one of them. All right, so let's go to Texas next. Everybody loves Texas. Everything's bigger there. All right. I kind of feel guilty or weird or something because I've encountered so many strange things growing up. This story takes place in Dale, Texas, rather. Sorry, I was going for Dallas. It's about a 10-minute drive from Lytton Springs, where my last story took place, whatever that was. Dale is an extremely small town. It consists of locally owned gas station, a railroad track, and 2 roads that intersect right at the post office. And really, that's it. Other than that, it's a lot of land, primarily used for livestock. Some of it is heavily wooded, and there are a lot of deep ravines running through the woods. I forgot to mention the old school that was converted into a town hall type of thing. The history of Dale is pretty simple. It was where the black kids were sent to go to school back when everything was segregated, and there is a lot of old abandoned buildings that are falling down, made entirely out of wood and dirt floors, and it's quite the depressing place. My sister-in-law's dad had about 80 acres out there that he leased to cattle ranchers, and a small mobile home and a shed that was used to process meat, and they were big on deer hunting. Well, when my brother, who I lived with at the time, moved out of Lytton Springs, his father-in-law said he could put a house on this land, and we could live out there, and sweet deal. So I lived on this big chunk of land with not much to do but ride my four-wheeler and go exploring in the woods and whatnot. And we had 2 dogs, Chico and Annie, and they would follow me everywhere. One day, while I was following the ravines deeper into the woods, I came across a clearing. The trees in the woods were ancient, and I'm talking over 100 feet tall, and had the diameter of like 10 or 15 feet. They were massive, and they groaned when the wind blew, and I loved how big they were. And I always thought of building the ultimate treehouse in one of them someday. The only thing is they seemed to be rotting from the top down. Branches would fall all the time, and the wood was very porous, not sturdy at all. Anyway, so I come to this clearing, which seemed very out of place. There was a decent-sized building slumped over in the center, with weeds and vines and tall grass all over. The Texas sun doesn't help plants thrive, so almost all this brush was dead and dry and itched as I walked through it to check out this building. By the time I got to the building, my socks were covered in dead seeds and grass and etc. Excuse me. You know how it is. Sorry. That was unexpected. I wasn't speaking in tongues. I just had a burp, apparently. Kind of sneak up on me. The building was made out of wood. The roof had collapsed and there were no doors. A small gravel path led off back into the woods, and there was a rusty sheet metal sign in the front that I couldn't read because it was so corroded. I was skeptical to go out inside because it was falling apart, and there were banana spiders everywhere, those big creepy yellow and black ones that make zigzag pattern on their web. And I thought to myself, wow, it's not every day you just find something like this in the middle of nowhere. So I carefully went inside, and I was mostly walking on powdery dirt floor, and there were piles of wood in places where the roof had caved in. I was enjoying my little adventure until I heard the distinct sound of laughter. Okay, who could that be? I knew there were no kids out here, as I had to walk a good way to get to this place, and I went back outside into the hot sun and looked around, and nothing, no one at all. I shrugged it all off and went back in. My dogs would not go in with me. They kept sniffing around the outside, peeing on everything. When you first go in, there's a tall wooden counter near the wall with an old analog clock hanging on an old rusty nail covered in dust with a cracked face. I found some old papers that were so brittle that if you touched them, they would crumble into dust. Just kind of a powdery substance, and the papers were all so faded and must have been written in pencil or something, because I couldn't read much other than a letter here and there, and there was an old metal bell sitting on the counter. It still worked, sort of. I continued through a doorway into what I assume was a theater or something. There was a small elevated platform that looked like a stage, and it had a poorly made podium on it that had a lot of scattered chairs that were knocked over, and it smelled really bad in this room, like an old library or something. It wasn't pleasant at all, and I left and went to the room adjacent to the theater room, and this is where it gets strange. I heard the laughter again and a light banging noise. Scared. I didn't know what to think, so I just kept going, and when I walked into this area, it appeared to be a classroom. There was an old blackboard on the wall with a bunch of dry wooden desks with scratches and stains on them, and all of a sudden, I heard a light bang again, and my dog started to bark from outside. I could see slivers of sunlight coming through the gaps in the wood on the wall, and those gaps blacked out as if someone was walking by outside. I said hello loudly and asked if anyone was there, but there was no response. I started to get a little creeped out now, and when I looked away from the wall, I noticed an eraser sitting on one of the desks, and it wasn't there before. I turned around to leave, and I heard the light bang again, and I turned to look. The eraser was now on the ground under the chalkboard. Someone had just thrown the same eraser I was just looking at on the desk. Okay, that's my cue to leave. I started heading for the way out again, and that's when the banging started again, repetitively. I heard the laughter again, and I looked back as the chalkboard. There were 3 or 4 erasers floating and being pounded on the chalkboard like someone I couldn't see was holding them and playing around making chalk dust. At this point, I'd seen enough. I ran for the way out as the laughing and banging got louder. My dogs were still barking with slight yelps at the end as if they were calling for me to get out of there. And when I got to the lobby area, the clock was spinning backwards. I saw the bright sun beaming through the door frame and headed for it, and there was a loud scream and crying, and as I rushed out of the building into the brush, I didn't look back. My dogs ran to me, and we all ran off into the woods, and I followed the ravine back home. I told my sister-in-law where I was and what I saw, and she told me that it used to be a segregated school and was abandoned a long time ago. She told me her and her friends would go back there and when they were kids and see who could stay in there the longest at night without getting scared. I told her about the laughing and the chalkboard, and she confirmed that she had seen the same thing with the chalkboard and erasers years ago. I decided it would be best not to go there again, and I feel bad that there were kids still trapped in that terrible place. They seemed happy, though. Any ideas on why they're still stuck in an old school? And what could that figure have been that I saw through the cracks in the wall? I don't know. Very strange. Very, very strange. Hello, Chris Jarvis. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. I like is that a dragon? That's pretty cool if that's a dragon. Just saying. I'm not sure what your icon is, but it looks like a red dragon. It looks lovely. Well, that was a cool story. I hope you guys liked that. I think it's pretty intense. I just got to look for a second, sorry. Just got to check something. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now this one's coming from Montana, so Duke, this one's for you. This is coming from your stomping grounds. All right, so it's a nice and short one, though. It says, in June 23rd, 2008, I was working the entrance to the Nevada City Open Air Museum in Nevada City, Montana. I'm a tour guide with the Montana Heritage Commission and was taking tickets and giving information that day for the museum. It was around 5:30 in the afternoon, and I was sitting in the booth reading a book. It was a pretty slow. Not too many people had come through, which is a typical late in the day. As I was reading, I heard someone coming toward me on the boardwalk from inside the museum. I put my book down to greet them, and when they came out, no one appeared, so I leaned over the booth to see if I could see who was there, and I didn't see anyone. I was curious, so I got up and checked the first 3 buildings in the museum. I found no one, so I went back to the booth, a little bit mystified. Just as I began reading again, the footsteps returned and walked right past me in front of the booth I was sitting in. The footsteps started at the entrance exit of the museum and stopped right at the step going up to the music hall. There was nobody associated with these steps, just disembodied footsteps. I was a bit shocked, spooked, but not scared, since I've heard from our curator that the same incident happened to him a few years back, but only he had been followed by the footsteps. I only experienced them walking past me at the entrance of the museum. Wow, it sounds like a neat place, though. An open-air museum like that, that sounds like it'd be fun. Lovely for sure. Wow, getting there. How's about that? This is peculiar. There we go. Okay. Open up some new stories. We got through the first batch. I hope you're enjoying this, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a good time. I see there's nobody calling in, but if you want to call in, you certainly can. Let me see what's going on. I got to check the time, see how long we've been at it. Just about almost 30 minutes, so we're doing good. Making good progress, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the next story is coming from Colorado. It was a hot 94-degree day, and I had to water the plants in the backyard. I dragged the hose over to the patch next to our neighbor's fence and started spraying the plants. And I adjusted the hose and accidentally some water sprayed onto the fence. Just then, I saw a black figure move towards the left between the cracks of the fence, and it looked like a dog because the previous owners had one, so I knew what it looked like. The only problem was that the present owners didn't own one. Well, I just ignored it because I guessed it was the grandpa living there. Back inside, I took out a popsicle and started to just roam around in my own thoughts and rest for a bit, and when I passed by the sliding door, I saw the black figure again on our neighbor's deck. I only saw this from the corner of my eye, and I knew it wasn't the grandpa I thought it was, because when I quickly looked back, it was gone. The figure was tall, and nothing over on their deck was even close to the figure's height. The figure showed that it wasn't a dog, and it wasn't a human figure, but I couldn't see anything else except for its blackness. A few years back, I remember reaching over for the soap in the bathroom at night. I woke up with my hands feeling clammy. That's a weird statement. Just as I reached over the other sink where the soap was, I looked in the mirror, and next to me I saw a hooded figure about a foot taller than I was. I couldn't see the face. It was just like an empty hole of blackness going forever. It didn't scare me too much because I was younger and thought it was one of those dementors from the book series Harry Potter, and I could use magic to ward it off. And I'm wondering now if it's the same figure that was at the neighbor's backyard. Is this presence evil? Although I don't get the evil feelings off of it, do you know if the presence is the same? And is it targeting me? If it is, why? I don't know. I think they know when they're seen, though. I think that sometimes entities know when somebody sees them, and that becomes curious to them or something. It seems to inspire more encounters, and maybe they let this kid see them. I mean, I don't know. It's very strange, though. But once a person sees an apparition, it's like, for whatever reason, and I don't pretend to know the reasons that apparitions show themselves. I mean, it can be incredibly varied. There can be a million reasons why an apparition will show itself. Perhaps it just wants acknowledgement. Perhaps it's trying to relay a message. Perhaps it's trying to tell its story. You know, perhaps. We can guess all day long, but I really believe they choose to be seen or not to seen as they see fit. They also choose to make noise that you can hear or not hear as they see fit. So I think that it's all, in some form or another, an attempt to communicate. What are they trying to say? I don't know. And it would be probably as varied as anything else. There's not one size fits all. But I do believe they very intentionally make themselves known because they want you to know they're there. What their end game is, could be a million things. I don't know. But I don't think that they're just perceived by accident unless you just happen to be very psychic and they don't realize you can see them until after you've seen them. And then, of course, then that might be a different reason for them to continue to show themselves to you because maybe they think you can hear them or pass on a message or hear their story or give them closure or something. I don't know. But it is very curious. Usually one sighting is not where it ends. Usually there's several sightings before these events come to a close, if they ever do. So very curious, though. All right, so this one is Texas. First of all, I don't know how I got in here. I was glad to find this site and read a lot of stories, so I knew I fit in. No one would believe me, not even my husband. Last week, one morning around 6 a.m., I got up and went to the kitchen to get a glass of water, and I went back to bed thinking if I should stay up and make some coffee while everyone else is asleep. I swear I saw a boy walking out of my boys' room, walking towards the hallway as a real person would be walking to the bathroom or kitchen. He was wearing blue shorts, a black shirt, and had wavy brown hair. For a few minutes, I was thinking, oh man, my stepson is awake. So I got up and went to check on my 6-year-old. Both boys were asleep. No one has gotten up. So I went to the living room and searched around the house, checked the doors, but nobody was there. Nobody was around. I swear, I saw a guy walking out of my boy's room. Well, I got scared and ran and woke up my husband, and we searched everywhere. The doors and all the windows were locked. Did I see a ghost? I wasn't dreaming. I was laying on my bed looking up at the ceiling, staring down the hallway and the boys' room, and the shadow or ghost walked out as he did without seeing me. From then on, I've made sure to wake up when everyone else does, not on my own, and it's hard to do this. So they've taken the ostrich approach. It's like, nope, I'm not awake, I'm not awake, I'm not awake. But what if something is bugging your kids when they're sleeping or something? Wouldn't you want to know? I mean, if I saw an apparition coming out of my kid's room, I'd be all about figuring that stuff out. I almost went full ghetto there for a second. Sorry about that. I almost went full profanity. No offense, but I caught myself. I mean, there's just some things that I'm absolutely ravenously protective about, and one of them would be if something was trying to affect my kids. That would be a big red flag for me. So I wouldn't just wait in bed till everybody else got up. I'd be checking that out hardcore. But that's just me. I don't know. Gemini gives me a smiley face. I did. I almost said a word that would have made this not family friendly. I don't usually do that, so I'm passionate about it if I'm about to spit out a 4-letter sunshine. So, all right. Well, let's go to Colorado again because Colorado. Oh my God, is this a long story? Oof. This is huge. How much time do we have? I gotta look again. 36. Got like 20 minutes. I guess I could read it. That's probably going to be the last thing I read tonight because it's huge. It's a huge story, ladies and gentlemen. But we're heading to Colorado, so I hope you're ready. Buckle up your seats. We're going to take the Portal Mobile over to Colorado. See what's going on up there in the Rockies. I've never even extensively shared my encounter stories outside of my family and close circle of friends. Mostly because I find either people don't believe me or think I'm just making up a great story. After reading people's experiences on this site, I think most people are open to the idea that these events really do happen. I beg the reader's pardon if the story is too long, but I have many years of events to describe in one post. First off, the time period is between 1998 and the present, which was 2008. This story was submitted in 2008, so I guess it's 10 years. All of the encounters happened in my family's home in Colorado, which is a ranch-style house. For those who are not familiar, it's a long, open house with first floor and a basement, and most of the activity, centers around the north corner of the house, guest bedroom, or my bedroom in the basement under the guest bedroom. Now, I want to start out by telling all the readers that I'm putting in all the events that I can, not logically explain, but I am sure that a few books fell off of their shelves by mere accident and not by the presence of a spirit, but these events that I am going to share, I cannot make any reason out of them besides that several spirits who reside in my home. Enough with the boring details, now on with the story. The first event takes place when I was in 8th grade, and I was walking up my driveway looking at the mail that I had just collected when I heard my front door slam. I looked up to see a shadow move across our front door window. Being a fair distance from the door, I thought nothing of it. My mom was usually home when I arrived home, and I thought it was just her. When I reached the door, I found it locked. Ha ha, I thought to myself, very funny, locking me out. Well, I expected my mom to jump out and scare me as I unlocked the door, but nobody was in the front room. I called out to her saying she wasn't funny, but nobody answered. So I went back to her bedroom and then to her study, but no one was home. I immediately grabbed a knife thinking that someone had broken in and was still in the house with me. After an extensive search of the house, no one was there but me. At the time, I chalked it up to my mind playing tricks on me, but as time went on, the ghost encounters became much more aggressive. Sometime after 8th grade, my parents remodeled our basement, so my brother and I could have our own rooms down there, and they knocked out most of the wall, creating 2 large common rooms and 2 bedrooms for us. Once it was done, my mom showed it off to all her friends, so I was used to coming home to people in the house, and one day after school I came home and announced my return, stopping to hear if anyone had called back, and I heard 2 ladies talking in the basement. I ran down the stairs thinking my mom was on another one of her tours. The ladies were talking in my bedroom, so I rushed down the stairs and to my room, and when I entered, my blood ran cold. No one was there. But until the moment I came in, I heard voices. Feeling really unnerved, I left. I was feeling very uneasy with this situation, and I began to put a mask collection on my wall. I was always told that some cultures use masks to keep spirits at bay. In total, I put about 14 masks above my bed, and it might have been a little drastic, but I was scared. For a while, nothing happened, but one afternoon, I was left a message that I had crossed a line. I came into my room, and I find all but 3 masks had been ripped off the wall and thrown to the other side. One mask was broken in 2. My first inclination was to blame my younger brother, but he had been at school with me all day. And then I asked my brother or my mom if she had taken the mask down, but she said she wasn't even in the house. Needless to say, I took the hint, packed all but the 3 masks away, and apologized to empty space, hoping to make peace. About a year and a half went by without any large activity, and there were the occasional creaks in the night, but nothing more of the 2 ladies, and at this point in the story, I really have to tell everybody that the rest of the encounters all happened between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. always. I haven't figured out why this time of the day and not others, so at this point in life, I had become at ease with the possibility that there were 2 ghosts in the house. I was to find out that there were a few more ghosts in the house that I had yet to meet. One night I had fallen asleep on the family room couch upstairs with my dog. Around 2 a.m. I heard the sounds of footsteps in the back where the guest bedroom was. I woke up, heart pounding, 2 beats went by, and then all of a sudden the footsteps turned into a full-blown run. Something was running through the house right at me. I could hear it getting louder, and I could see the glass cabinet shaking in the moonlight. And I know that I'm not dreaming because my dog bolted off the couch and ran towards the sound, and once the sound reached the couch, I heard the sound of sneakers on a gym floor, that high-pitched skid, and then silence. My breath escaped through my throat, and I can see nothing in the room with me. I slowly get up and make my way to a light switch and spend the rest of the night in a restless sleep. It was at this point that I confided in my mom. My father doesn't believe in that ghosts exist. She hadn't heard the sound, but she said that she noticed that the closet door in the guest bedroom would always be open in the morning, and she would always close them, only to find them reopened later. Knowing that they were at school, or that we were at school, she just thought it was strange. But with my story, she felt that there was something in this house. Feeling that someone believed me, I set off to try and make contact with any of the ghosts, and either of the 2 ladies or the newest ghost, who I felt was a little boy. Don't ask me why I felt it was a little boy. It just sounded like a boy running through the house. I started out very simple, leaving a pen and paper out, hoping they would leave a note. As I researched more, I found that people could catch sounds on recorders, so I set up some in my room, and nothing happened. There was no pattern to the events. I just heard a high-pitched noise. There was no pattern to the events, and it seemed that every time I tried to get hard evidence, they became more reclusive. So I gave up trying, and once again, things started to get weird. Now, I was in junior high school and was soon to have the most events happen to me sequentially than ever before. It started out as a small event and worked itself to a much greater encounter. One night, I was awoken to the smallest sound. The best way I can describe it is when you turn your radio on to the lowest setting before you cannot hear it anymore. You can hear the sounds, but you can't make out any of the words. Being groggy, I hit my radio alarm clock several times. When the sound didn't stop, I unplugged the whole clock. Settling back into bed, I could still hear the sound. I turned on my light trying to find the source of the sound, and after some searching with my ear, I found the source to the sound to be coming from a tiny little soapstone figure I had on my bedside table. I really thought I must be going mad, so I moved it to the base of my window, and the sound moved with the figure. Sitting there, I had no idea what to make of this situation. I could not make out any words that were coming from this little statue, but I could tell it was a man's voice. Feeling that this was not the weirdest thing that has ever happened in the house, and knowing I had to get up in 4 hours for school, I moved it to the far end of my room and went back to sleep. It was from this point that I met the fourth ghost, that of a teenage girl. The spirit never showed itself, nor did she make any of the loud movements of the other house guests. I can only say I knew she was there, and I felt her very close at times. It was not a hostile feeling, but one of curiosity. There were times I knew she was in my room, and as I began to drift to sleep, I felt a finger touch my cheek. Even though I was scared to death, from this I never woke up nor made any sudden movements. I began to feel more severe cold spots in the house. Most of the time I thought it was just a draft, but on many occasions I began to shiver and feel cold while taking a hot shower, and no amount of warmth could make it go away. I desperately wanted to see one of the ghost guests, and would ask them always very politely if they could show themselves to me. Never to any avail. But one night, I saw something that I can't fully explain. I had just locked up the house for the night and was walking downstairs in the dark, and I saw two orbs shoot over the banister. One was a copperish light, and the other was silvery white. I stopped to see if a car had come up the street or made a reflection of some light out, but there was no one outside. It could have been a trick of the light, but I felt that I had my first glimpse of a real ghost. Unfortunately, it's from here that the events started to become more frightening, almost to the point of where I couldn't sleep in my own room. I had now gone off to college and was only home on holiday breaks. I still knew that I had my ghosts at home, and one ghost at college. Story for another day, and had returned home several times to no events. In some way, I felt that they were upset that I had left and they wanted nothing more to do with me, and that was not the case. One night, freshman year, first year of college, I woke up in a complete panic. I couldn't move. Worse yet, I couldn't breathe. And I felt as though someone was choking me, and I can't say with certainty if I saw a dark shadow over me or if it was my eyes adjusting to the dark of my room, but I did know that I was running out of air. Just before the point of pure panic, it stopped. I gasped for air and ran to the bathrooms with some water. While looking at myself in the mirror, I could see the faint lines a finger makes disappearing around my neck. Now, I will buy the argument that I was having a nightmare about something choking me, and in a fit to stop this, actually started to choke myself, but I felt that I was awake for most of this event. Feeling threatened by the situation, I moved myself upstairs to the couch for the rest of my break. This didn't stop anything from happening. I could still hear things moving in the night, always off the periphery of my hearing. One night I told myself that I was just being silly and that I should move back down to my room. I got my bedding and material and walked over to the downstairs and flicked the light off. The moment I turned around, a white hand shot through the darkness right at my face. Up until that moment, I had never had the urge to scream, but I nearly did at that moment. Instinct took over my brain, and I flicked the light on faster than I knew I could, only to reveal an empty stairwell. I felt that I was being ganged up on, but in retrospect, I think I was being warned by the young girl not to go back downstairs. Years later, my younger brother would tell me that he, too, heard weird things while I slept upstairs. He heard a man yelling at someone in loud thuds in my room. My only theory is maybe an angry spirit had passed through the house and the permanent residents didn't like his presence, I will never know. The last two major events happened my last year in college and were the most frightening events that I have ever happened in my life. I had returned home from my long winter break and, in traditional fashion, dumped everything I had in my suitcase on my floor. Every room should be a little cluttered. My floor was covered in all the graded pages and papers that I had shoved in my backpack in my hurried attempt to get out of school. That night, as I began to doze, I heard the sound of someone stepping on a page, and then again. Slowly, the sound of crinkling pages began to make its way to my bed. I held my breath, hoping it would stop, but the steps grew ever so close. Bearing it no longer, I switched on my lamp and relocated myself back upstairs. Feeling frustrated that I couldn't stay in my room, I was determined that nothing was going to move me, or so I thought. We all have moments in our lives that affect us greatly, so that we can still feel the emotions we felt the moment the event took place, and this is one of mine. My clock read 2:10 a.m., and I know this because it was the first thing I saw when I was awoken to the sound of two ladies talking. It had been 8 years since I had heard them, but now I was sure that there were two people talking in my room. Groggy and not knowing what was going on, I sat up in bed and asked who was there. The conversation stopped at once. Becoming more alert, I asked again. I had just started to form the word when the loudest scream erupted from the foot of my bed. It was so loud and so shrill, I have never to this day heard such a scream, and I hope to never again. But here it was at the foot of my bed and rushing towards me at unimaginable speed. I grasped my lamp and flung the light on in a fit of panic. I couldn't stop my body from shaking. My eyes were welling up with tears, and I could feel the adrenaline surging through my body. I couldn't let go of my lamp. I was too terrified to let go of that light. I don't know how long I stayed that way, eyes darting, looking for some form to emerge from the shadows that makes the final blow, but nothing ever came. Nothing made a sound, and I didn't sleep for 2 days. No one else in the house heard the scream. Not that it surprises me. Most of my family could sleep through a freight train rolling through the living room, but I never let on how much this event marked me. To this day, I do not sleep in that room without some form of light on, and I know it may sound childish, but I feel that there's something in the dark now. Nothing as major has happened to me since, and I'm well out of college and have brought my future wife home for the holidays, and she knows the stories. I've told her, but she has never seen anything weird happen. When we come home, we sleep in the guest bedroom. Sometimes late at night, I hear the closet doors rattle and crack open ever so slightly. My fiance also heard the doors shaking and though it freaked her out, it didn't scare her away. I feel that my connection with the house guests have become strained over the years. I cannot feel them as strongly as I used to, but in some ways it might be for the best. Maybe as time goes on, I'll have more stories to tell you of my 4 guests that have never left. I know this has been a long story, but I want to thank all of those of you who have read it to the end. It's good to know that other people have had experiences like mine, and that I can read them and relate. I'm also very glad that I'm finally able to share this story after all of these years. That is incredibly intense. That's a lot of history there. But I guess that's going to end our journey into the portal tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, but what can I say? I love being here with you guys. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of the portal. As always, please check out our podcast. Please find our Facebook page, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. Please subscribe to this channel and like the video if you would, please. That helps us a bunch. If you enjoyed it, it definitely helps YouTube recommend it for other people that may as well enjoy it. But just a bunch of great stories, and I hope you guys had fun with it. I guess I'll be back tomorrow night with the Friday show, so I hope you guys will be here with me then for that 2-hour fun. 2 hours of paranormal fun right here. I got a bunch of listener stories to read you guys. Looking forward to that. And if any of you... Oh, great last story. Thank you, Gemini. If any of you have any other stories you want submitted that'll be read tomorrow night, please send them in to me. I would love to get them and include them on tomorrow night's show. And you can send them in by emailing them. Make sure to email them because I'm going to lose them otherwise. Email them to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I'm going to do my best to round up the ones that are in all kinds of different places for tomorrow's show. But hopefully I'll find them all. And we'll continue our journey into the Paranormal Portal tomorrow night here at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 7 days a week, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, there is a Paranormal Portal happening right here on YouTube. So if you're wondering what to do at 7 p.m., what do I do? Well, whatever time it is for you, head over here. Come join us. We love to meet new people. We love it. That's just a phenomenal chat room. There's no better chat room in all of YouTube. I don't care who you are, whose channel you've seen. This is the greatest group of individuals I have ever had the pleasure of communicating and hanging out with. So we are just a really cool family. But anyway, guys, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. You're welcome, Belle. Good to see you. Thank you. And everybody else, good night, everybody. I appreciate that you guys were here. Sasquatch Grease. What? I don't even know what Sasquatch Grease is. Bigfoot in Germany. That sounds terrifying. All right, guys. Good night, everybody. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. We'll see you.